Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Kathy Kennedy Show. I am your host, KK, and we've got a ton of stuff to get to on today's program. We're going to kick off today's show with our guide report, and this time we're going to be featuring Rob Furtani. Rob is a tournament angler from Saskatchewan, and I understand he has been whacking the walleye lately, so it's going to be interesting to see and hear where he's been fishing and what he's been using. We are going to also give you an update on some great shows that are coming to town in our entertainment guide. We of course have our Fast 5 Extra. These are some stories that didn't quite make it onto my Facebook Fast 5. And we're going to wrap up the show today with a sit down and a chat with Darren Bohannes, who not only has some great tips on trolling motors, but let me tell you this, he has very graciously put together a wonderful prize package that we want to give to you. So let's get today's show started. We are going to kick off today's show with our guide report, and this time it features Rob Furtani from Saskatchewan. Take it away, Rob.
Hi, Kathy. Rob Furtani here from Regina, Saskatchewan. Fishing report today comes from Last Mountain Lake, located about 20 minutes north of Regina. Walleye, pike, fishing is great, with the average walleye size between 3 to 5 pounds, with the odd 9-10 pounder coming in as well. Fish break lines between the 20 to 25 foot depth range with jigs tipped with a leech, or try pulling some cranks along the break line to cover more water. A hot tip of the day, use a jigging spoon. Try ripping this along the break line and hold on. That's the report for today. Good luck and good fishing.
Thanks so much, Rob. All right, time for a look at our entertainment guide and tell you about some shows that are coming to town. There is a big concert just around the corner. The Eagles are going to be taking the stage at the MTS Center, and this is happening on Monday, September the 16th. Now, believe it or not, there are still tickets available for this show. Ticketmaster, the place to go and get those. If you love your Canadian classic rock, boy, we've got a show for you. Brian Vollmer and the boys from Helix are going to be rolling into town Thursday, September the 12th. They are going to be playing the Oak, Canad Inns on Regent Avenue. Tickets for that show can be purchased at Canad Inns, and make sure you stay tuned for an upcoming interview with the guys from Helix. We'll have it right here on the show in a couple of weeks. Finally, guitar great and multiple Grammy nominee Joe Satriani is going to roll into town October the 14th. He's going to be hitting the stage at the Burton Cummings Theatre. Tickets for the show are available, of course, at the Burt, and they start at $87. Time for a look at our Fast 5 Extra. And as you may have heard in the news last week, driverless cars could soon be on many Canadian roads. In fact, they're saying in the next 4 to 5 years. But there is at least one transportation advocate who says that when nobody's at the wheel, well, that's not necessarily a good thing, and in fact, we have got to start regulating such vehicles. Paul Godsmark, who is a former highway designer, says this new technology is going to hit the country a bit like a tidal wave, and, well, we better start getting ready. Speaking of technology, today's a huge day. Samsung is beating Apple to the punch when it comes to smart watches. Probably saw this on the news. Samsung is rolling out its brand new watch today, which is going to feature a 3-inch display. It'll have a 4-megapixel camera, and it will connect to any Samsung Galaxy phone or tablet. Pretty cool. Some good news when it comes to interest rates, especially for those of you perhaps getting a loan or a mortgage. 3 years after the Bank of Canada froze interest rates at historic lows, doesn't appear to be any sign of a thaw. The last lending rate change was back in September of 2010 when the central bank moved the rate to an even 1%. That, by the way, the lowest rate since the 1950s. Hey, ever accuse your partner of tuning you out? Well, there is a new study which says middle-aged couples are able to tune out each other's voices selectively so that they can pay more attention to other people. Finally, we end with some sad news. For those of you who are followers of the Rocky franchise, Tommy Morrison, who is the star of Rocky V, sadly, he passed away on the weekend after a long battle with AIDS. Morrison was actually a professional boxer when he was cast in the 1990 movie along with Sylvester Stallone. He had tested positive for HIV back in 1996, and that had ended his boxing career. All right, time now for our interview with Darren Bohannes. And for those of you who are familiar with Darren and his many talents, you know that he wears a whole lot of hats, whether it is a photographer, videographer, he is an avid fisherman and tournament angler, and he's also a rep for Humminbird Minn Kota. And we are thrilled that he has joined us as a regular contributor on the show. This week, he's got a great report on what to look for when it comes to trolling motors.
Hi Kathy, Darren here again with Minn Kota, Humminbird, Cannon, and Lakemaster, and I wanted to chat briefly about trolling motors. There's a few different styles that you can get into, whether it's a transom mount system that's really good for smaller boats or in back trolling situations. There's some models that are available there, or you can get into the bow mount systems, and the bow mount trolling motors are actually among the more common styles that you'll see on a lot of the boats. This particular model here, the Minn Kota Terrova, is actually an electric steer system, so it allows you to incorporate some pretty amazing technologies such as your co-pilot, which is a wireless remote. There's also a wireless foot pedal that you can get for some of the other models like the Power Drive, but newer technologies such as iPilot or even iPilot Link. This is pretty cool stuff, because what this allows you to do is it incorporates wireless remote functions, so your on-off button, your steering, your speed, as well as it incorporates GPS functionality from your Minn Kota electric steer trolling motor into your Humminbird system. So for example, if you want to use the spot lock feature and actually hit that icon almost like an electric anchor and hold your position on that spot, you can actually see that icon appear on your GPS map screen. Now you can save it just like a waypoint, so you can come back to it again, or you can easily discard it. You can also record a track, and in comparison with the conventional iPilot Link, because it links to your Humminbird system, you can see that track actually record and being created right there on your Humminbird screen, and again you can save it, so you can return to it again and again. So if you want to be able to have a track that's created on your screen and maybe go back again and run some spinners or crankbaits, you can save it just like a save track on your Humminbird. So it really is an amazing technology to be able to incorporate those boat control and those features whenever you want to use them again and again. I'll be heading in a couple days actually for the Bassin for Bucks tournament in Sioux Narrows, and one of the motors, the motor that I'm going to swap out for this is actually our cable steer motor, which is our Fortrex. I really like using that, and particularly a lot of bass anglers are going to use a cable steer system. The biggest advantage to cable steer is instantaneous response. Because it's not an electric system, it's a cable, kind of a pull steering system. You don't even really have to think about your steering. Now you have to be on the foot pedal all the time, but it becomes so intuitive that I'm completely hands-free, and I don't even have to look down, because I can feel, because of the position that my foot is on the foot pedal, what direction and where I'm going. So it almost becomes a part of you in terms of your boat control and your steering directly connected to your feet. So it's something that you'll find a lot of bass anglers for that type of boat control are going to use. One last thing actually that I wanted to talk about, which is a very common question that I get, is pound thrust. How much pound thrust do I need for the type of boat that I'm using? They're available in a 12, 24, and a 36 volt system. 12 volt systems are up to 55 pound thrust, 24 volt systems are up to 80 pound thrust, and even 36 volt systems are available up to 101, and next year actually up to 112 pound thrust on the new Minn Kota motors. Usually within about a 16 and a half, you can get away with about a 55 or 12 volt system. Once you start getting beyond that, you may want to consider going to a 24 volt system, or even bigger than that. Although I've got about an 18 and a half foot boat here, I'm actually running a 36 volt 101. I don't want power to be an issue in any situation that I happen to find myself in, especially in a tournament or when you're running a lot of wind and big water. Generally what'll happen is I've never actually had anybody come up to me and say, you know, I bought this Minn Kota motor and I should have got the smaller one. It's never happened, but there can be situations where if you buy something that's underpowered, that you're going to be using it a little bit harder. So you're actually going to burn those batteries a little bit harder, and you actually might run out of power at the end of the day. So when in doubt, make sure you match up the right trolling motor, the right power, be it 12, 24, or 36 volt, for the type of boat and the type of applications that you might be fishing with. If you're just fishing a couple hours a day before breakfast, after dinner, you may not necessarily need something a little bit bigger. But if you're going to be on the water all the time, when in doubt, get the most that you can actually afford, or get the most that you could accommodate for batteries. There's a lot of things to consider, but these are some of the basics in terms of the different types of trolling motors, as well as choosing the right type of pound thrust. Check out your local tackle store, and they'll sure to help you out with all the information that you might need on Humminbird, Minn Kota, or any of the Johnson Outdoors products.
Well, as we mentioned at the top of today's show, Darren has very graciously put together a wonderful prize package that we want to give to you. How do you win it? All you need to do is leave us a comment below here on the YouTube channel and tell us why you deserve to win it. We are going to award that prize package at the end of this month. That's all the time we have for today's show. We hope you will join us again later this week, right here on YouTube. Bye-bye.